Hey guys, I'm Dav, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 tournament action. Yes, indeed, we are back with the Warhammer Fantasy League Qualifier. We're going to be taking a look at a series between Terw and Yadav. So we've previously watched Terw best Crabbling in the series. So this is going to be him facing up against Yadav, which Yadav, this is his first tournament, if I remember correctly. He's a very good player. I've run into him on ladder a few times and can safely say we've always had very good, very close games. He's a very strong player. And I might bring you some of the other series that he played in, but the other qualifier was just fought yesterday, so I want to start dipping into the replays for that, as well as showing you the finals from this qualifier. So we're going to be kind of skipping through a few of the replays that I had planned to show, but still, I'm going to be bringing you as many as possible. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So Yadav has taken Chaos, and we've got Terw with the Beastmen. So let's go ahead and briefly take a look at the builds here. For Chaos, we've got 3 units of trolls, which is very interesting. Armored trolls at that. 110 armor, not great leadership, but these guys can do a lot of shock damage, a lot of armor piercing. It's a very interesting pick to potentially take on Bestigors. The reason being, Bestigors are kind of in an awkward place for Chaos. They're, they're just a little bit above Chaos Warriors with great weapons, well, quite a bit above, I would say, in terms of cost effectiveness and everything, so they really can't trade with them. Chosen are a bit too expensive to really trade cost effectively with the Bestigors, in my opinion. So you kind of got to look for other options like monstrous units and, heavy cavalry and other things to do the damage to Bestigors. So I'm interested to see how the trolls do in that role here. So we've also got a front line of marauders here with double silver chevrons, making them very formidable at 38 attack, 35 defense. Also got a unit of Chaos Warriors with halberds in the rear for support. Chaos Sorcerer, Lord of Death, carrying Spirit Leech, Fate of Una, standard stuff. Kolek with, Lord of the Storm and all that. We've also got 2 Marauder Horsemasters, which seem to be a very common pick these days. Again, as I've said previously, I like the regular Marauder Horsemen a little bit better here. They're just cheaper and they're a bit faster as well. But we'll see. We've also got Chaos Poison Warhounds and some Chaos Knights with lances here, and I believe that is pretty much everything. So for Terw's build here, you can see he's got a very nice staggered infantry deployment. I really like this. He's got Goreherds with shields up front. We've got a second line of 3 Bestigors with 4th Bestigor as the reserve. We've also got a unit of Minotaurs with great weapons standing on top of a Beast Lord here. We've got a Brave Shaman, Lore of Shadows. Looks like he's carrying Pit of Shades, Enfeebling Foe, and Penumbral Pendulum. Very good spell choices. 2 Centaurs with throwing axes, 2 Poison Warhounds, and I believe that's everything. So interestingly enough, no Centaurs with great weapons, just the throwing axes and 1 unit of Minos. It's a lot of Bestigors, so let's see how it goes. So Kolek's going to be charging up. He's going to want to be careful. He doesn't want to take too many of these armor-piercing axes to the face. I mean, granted, Kolek does have a little bit of missile resistance here, but the armor-piercing missiles will obviously go straight through his armor. He does have 25% missile resistance, but still, mainline engagements going down. We've got Marauders saturating with the Trolls here, meaning the Marauders are going to be taking quite a bit of damage, and the Trolls are able to then dish the damage. You can see the Bestigors are getting punished pretty hard. Unfortunately, these guys are getting rear charged, and with the Marauders routing off, the Trolls' leadership's not going to be able to hold up, especially once they start taking the brunt of that damage in that engagement. Marauders just not trading very well up against the Goreherds with shields, despite their pretty good combat stats. We do have the halberds on top of the Minotaurs with great weapons here, which is really nice, but they have routed off these trolls here. Bestigors trying to push through. You can see Kolek's also in this fight, and a Fate of Una going off on these Bestigor herd, I would imagine. Yep. Over in this fight, Trolls still able to do some damage, but the leadership of the Trolls just not holding up. Because there's so many more infantry units for the Beastmen, they can really surround and charge from multiple angles, and as a result, the leadership of the Trolls is really, really suffering. Looks like we're going to be getting a really nicely timed Lord of the Storm here. Terw walking straight into that one with his Bestigor herd. Over in this fight, Terw is a little bit caught out here with his Centaurs. Looks like we had a whole bunch of Poison Warhounds on both sides killing each other, and yeah. Yadav probably is getting the better of this engagement here, but the infantry line is really, really suffering right now. There's just way too many Bestigor to deal with, and the Trolls are not quite paying off. Their leadership's just not quite where it needs to be, and we're going to be getting a nasty overcast Pit of Shades right in this pocket here. And Pit of Shades actually does a lot of damage to cavalry models now. These Chaos Knights with lances and the Marauder Horsemen are going to take a ton of damage here. Just watch their health plummet The Chaos Caster is trying to bully the Brave Shaman Lower Shadows here, but man, that Pit of Shades was nasty. It completely shattered those Marauder Horsemen, routed off the Chaos Knights with lances. That has pretty much put a dagger to the balance of power here for Yadav, unfortunately. This charge here, you can see when the trolls come in on that charge, they do a ton of shock damage. They can really put a beat down on the Bestigor herd in the right situation. Their leadership, unfortunately, just didn't quite hold up in this match. You know, again, the superior numbers of the Beastmen infantry meant that they were often getting in on a rear charge, of inflicting that rear attack penalty on a unit with already pretty low leadership like these trolls. It's going to be really tough to keep them in the fight, keep them fighting, and doing that armor-piercing damage. You can see Yadav still fighting very, very gamely here. Great sportsman, trying to do his best to come back. Fate of Yuna on the Bestigor herd, trying to keep this Chaos Caster alive. Over here, the last of the trolls, well, not the last of the trolls, but this unit of trolls just being mobbed up. Kolek's taking quite a bit of damage. He's still on the field, but he's got about maybe 20% of his hit points left, and he's really just struggling to keep things together at this point. So going to be coming in for a rear charge, hopefully potentially routing off some of these units here, but you can see the Poison Warhounds kind of on station here, and there's more Bestigor, and I mean this elite kind of pocket right here with the two Bestigor. He's got the Goreherd with shields and the Shadow Sorcerer. If he hits Kolek with that enfeebling foe, the Bestigor are going to do a lot of work against him, so he's trying to clean up this unit over on the far side here, but you can see the throwing axe is also relentlessly pursuing. We've also got Minotaurs with great weapons coming in as well, so things are not looking too good for Kolek. Chaos Knights with lances are coming back from route. They should be able to get a nice little charge in here, but it looks like maybe going to be, oh, he did change the charge order onto this Bestigor herd, and going to be doing a devastating amount of shock damage, but the leadership is just not there to hold up for the Chaos Forces at this point, so well played to both players. And we'll go ahead and jump straight to game 2, just because I've got quite a few replays to get through, so let's go ahead and just jump. Well, let's take a look at the breakdown first. I do want to just talk about a few things here. Once again, Bestigor herd showing their cost effectiveness here, just absolutely mopping up in that engagement, especially with the help of the rear charges from the Goreherds. Minotaurs didn't have too much to challenge them. The Marauder Horsemasters would have been the best answer, but they were kind of on the other side of the battlefield, and just the way the engagement played out, they really didn't get a chance to target the Minotaurs too much. Septigors with throwing axes did some nice work, just continually pressuring Kolek. The trolls here, I do like the idea of the trolls. One of them you can see got 47 kills, but the other ones just didn't quite pay off like you needed them to. You know, it'd be interesting. I might have to do some testing with the trolls, but I'm curious to see what, you know, kind of armor-piercing options you could take as Chaos to help deal with the Bestigor herd. But let's see. Chaos Knights with lances, 67 kills, got some decent work done. Marauder frontline, you know, they didn't get too much work done considering the spend on these guys with the silver chevrons. It's interesting, you know. 42 kills on Kolek himself is you know, pretty standard fare. So let's go ahead and jump straight to game 2, and we'll see how things play out. Let's see here. Yep, there it is. So this time we're going to be having Terw taking the Wood Elves and Yadav taking the Empire. Yes, indeed. The Empire is back in tournament action. I know we haven't been seeing too much Empire lately. They're a little bit sad in this patch, as I've talked about previously. But yeah, let's take a look and see how they do in this particular matchup. So Terw's going to be taking a front line of 4 Eternal Guards with shields. He's got a couple of War Dancers with Azrai Spear, a Wildwood Ranger, 3 Starfire Shafts, Wild Rider, Sister of Thorn, Branch Wraith. We'll have a look at the spells when we get into the game. And a Glady. I'd imagine she's going to be on a horse mount, most likely. Let's have a look here. So, yep, Glady's on the horse. We do have a unit of Dryads as well. Let's see. Branch Wraith is carrying, I'd imagine, Earthblood and Melkots. Yep, as well as the Penumbral Pendulum. Terw seems to really like that spell, and I'm interested to see him use it. Let's see. So for the Empire player, we've got 4 Crossbowmen, 2 Knights of the Blazing Sun. We've got, let's see, Boris Todbringer on a horse, Flagellants out towards the wings. It looks like 3 in total, and the center is going to be 5 swordsmen. One of them, I'd imagine, is the Sigmar Sons. Interestingly enough, all of these swordsmen are ranked up to triple silver chevrons, which gives them very formidable combat stats at 38 attack, 46 defense, only 28 weapon strength, but still, these guys are going to be beastly infantry. State troops are surprisingly cost-effective against lower-tier infantry, so I'm curious to see how they work out. He's also got a Fire Sorcerer up in the air here, getting that high angle for some potential fireballs. He's got Fireball, Flaming Sword of Ruin, and the Power Stone, fairly low-tier kit. But yeah, let's see. Terw's deployed pretty standard, how you would expect. He's got the Eternal Guards here, the Dryad in the center, Wildwood Ranger in reserve, the the three Glade Guards with Starfire Shafts, kind of in an arc in the center. Azrai Spears out towards the wings. He's got the Sisters of Thorn here, kind of supporting this center engagement, and the Wild Riders out towards the flanks. So let's go ahead and kick things into full gear and watch what happens with this game too. So let's see. Yeah, just advancing across the field. We're going to fast forward actually for just a minute here, as this is a pretty large open map here. You can see Fireball getting launched. Let's see, probably targeting that Branch Wraith. Yes, indeed, and makes solid contact. Man, holy cow, that was quite the snipe from the Bright Wizard there. Good job, buddy. He got probably about 30%, 40% of his HP on the Branch Wraith. So the Fireball is a legit tool in this matchup. I really like that, because the Branch Wraith is pretty much the caster you'll see. I mean, he has 60 armor, physical resistance, you know, really good spell selection. Looks like another Fireball already. Holy cow. So really going ham right off the bat to take out this poor little Branch Wraith, and he's down to 925 hit points. Oh man, this is brutal. Just taking out that caster this early on. You can see that's already pushed the balance of power fairly heavily in the Empire's favor. Very unfortunate for Terw, and very well played to Yadav there, bringing that Bright Wizard. He's keeping him well back away from the fight as well, so he doesn't get shot by those Starfire Shafts. Very nice play there. Yeah, Swordsmen are going to be charging all across the line. State Troops clashing with the Eternal Guards here. State Troops honestly will do very, very well, and I would definitely give the infantry advantage to the Empire. Interestingly enough, the Flagellants and the State Troop Swordsmen will do very, very well here. I mean, obviously, Wildwood Rangers will probably clean up most units here, but even then, I mean, if you look at Wildwood Rangers' combat stats, 48 attack and 36 defense is pretty comparable to the Swordsmen. I mean, Shield of Thorns also going down to give him missile resistance and additional weapon damage. Prey of Anathrema catching these Knights of the Blazing Sun out, but honestly, the Wild Riders, this is a really risky charge. They don't have armor piercing. They will do a lot of shock damage with their charge bonus, but they need to pull away very, very quickly, or they're going to start taking quite a bit of damage because of their low armor. Another thing to note about Knights of the Blazing Sun as we watch as they kind of charge into this back line here and prepare to get into these Glade Guards here, they do actually have magic resistance of 25%, so most Wood Elf missiles are going to be very poor against them. Besides the fire damage, you know, that magic resistance makes them the ideal shock cavalry to take against the Wood Elves, and you can see they're going to be smashing through these Glade Guards here, just absolutely putting them in the can, so to speak. Flagellants are broken through the back line as well. These Eternal Guards are desperately trying to catch them, but he's pathing them aggressively, trying to get on these archers as well. Very good play. I believe, is that Branch Wraith still alive? He is still alive for the time being, although Fireball has an extremely long range, so he could potentially get sniped here. And yeah, you can see there it is, actually, the last Fireball coming out. And if this makes contact, this Branch Wraith is dead. Like, there's just nothing he can do at this point. So let's see. Looks like it's right on target. So boom. Oh man. Oh man. Poor little Branch Wraith got his arm crisped off. That's nasty. So yeah, Branch Wraith is dead, and with that, no healing, no spells for the Wood Elves. It's looking very unfortunate at this point. Sisters of Thorn still very healthy. Over on this flank, you can see the Knights of the Blazing Sun did win out against those Wild Riders, despite the Wild Riders getting a clean charge against them. Center line engagement as well. Flagellants cleaning up these Azrai Spears. This is really not a cost-effective engagement for the Azrai Spears, just because the Flagellants will do a lot more damage than they're really comfortable with. The Swordsmen with this triple gold chevrons holding up very, very well. Obviously, they'll probably beat Eternal Guards. I'd imagine they have vastly superior combat stats, although it is, yeah, very much in favor of the Empire Swordsmen. You can see they've taken relatively little damage from the Eternal Guards here, and yeah, very much favoring the State Troops here. Very cool to see. You know, you don't see Swordsmen too much, or you didn't see them a lot in Game 1, so in Game 2, you don't see them a lot. This is one matchup where I definitely think that State Troop Swordsmen are an excellent pick. They can be very cost-effective against Eternal Guards. Eternal Guards are one of those units that I often say they trade well up, but they don't trade well down. What I mean by that is they trade well with higher-tier troops, but they don't trade well with low-tier troops. And so bringing a lot of low-tier swordsmen, especially with those chevrons, man, they'll work over these Eternal Guards very well, and they have. So it looks to be a pretty convincing victory for Yadav at this point. He's just cleaning up a few things in the periphery, trying to catch this Glady. She's running desperately away from Boris Todbringer as he seeks to tell her about the ways of Middenland. And yeah, she's going to get caught, unfortunately, here. Knights of the Blazing Sun coming in as well, and I'd imagine the leadership of the Elves is going to falter with their general taking this much damage. You know, the last of their leadership probably will evaporate. So yeah, you can see army losses triggering there, and it will be a win for Yadav. So 1-1 on the series. Very interesting. We'll have to see who wins Game 3. But in the meanwhile, for the army breakdown here for Terw, he just really got punished by those swordsmen. Man, 59, 47, 54, and 58 kills across the board. 61 on the Sigmar Sons. Flagellants mopping up quite a few kills as well. Crossbowmen didn't get a ton of kills, but honestly, they just kept up the range pressure, you know, perpetually. Knights of the Blazing Sun also did very well. 84 kills on these guys. Only 20 kills on these guys, but they did deal with those Wild Riders and kept them tied up on that flank. Kept them from getting into the chicken coop, so to speak. So let's see. For Terw, the War Dancers with the Azurai Spears got quite a bit of kills in certain situations, but again, they're fighting against Flagellants, so that's not really the most cost-effective trade. The Wildwood Rangers as well is an interesting pick if you're expecting greatswords up against the Wood Elves, which personally I would never bring greatswords against the Wood Elves. That's just me. I could see the pick of the Wildwood Rangers. They'll also do quite a bit of damage to heavy cavalry as well if you get them with like a Prey of Anathrema or something. But honestly, I'm just not the biggest fan of Wildwood Rangers in general. For a unit that's that expensive, when they don't have that much armor, I mean, it's kind of like the Plague Sensor Bearers for the Skaven. They just don't have a lot of armor, and they're quite expensive, so it makes it a little bit hard to use. They're very much a glass cannon unit, but they unfortunately didn't pay off here. The roughest part of that, though, was definitely that Branch Wraith getting sniped out by the Bright Wizard there. Just did not cast a single spell, I don't think. Maybe 1 or 2 Earthbloods on itself, but it's just a really rough situation for poor Branch Buddy there, so very well played to both players. Hope you guys enjoyed watching that double cast. I'm going to be bringing you Game 3 very soon, so stay tuned for that, and we'll see you next time.